One of my goals is to bring you ideas that can allow you to grow and imagine a new vision for your life. I've always had the deepest belief in the power of our human potential.
Oprah Winfrey's name once meant unwavering trust and unparalleled media power. From a difficult childhood in rural Mississippi to reshaping daytime television, she built an empire that turned everyday stories into cultural touchstones. Yet, beneath this inspiring trajectory lies a complex pattern of decisions and endorsements that sparked controversy and raised uncomfortable questions. How does someone so beloved become a figure linked to misinformation and questionable choices? With billions in wealth and influence, Oprah's journey isn't just one of triumph. It reveals the fragile line between authority and accountability in the modern media world. The beginning of influence. Oprah Winfrey's rise from a difficult childhood to media royalty is often seen as a story of relentless determination and talent. Born in a small farming town in Mississippi, she was raised in poverty by her grandmother, who instilled in her the confidence and love of learning that would become essential to her future success. Early on, Oprah exhibited a natural gift for storytelling, captivating church audiences with Bible verses and public speaking. This early exposure to performance shaped the warmth and authenticity that would later define her approach on television. Yet, life was far from easy. After moving to Milwaukee to live with her mother, Oprah faced instability and hardship. At the age of 14, she gave birth prematurely to a son who tragically passed away weeks later, a profound loss that became a pivotal moment in her life. Later, living with her strict and disciplined father in Nashville provided the structure she desperately needed. At her father's encouragement, she focused on education and extracurricular activities, setting her on a focused path toward a career in media. Her ambitions took root when she won a beauty pageant and landed a part-time job reading news on a local radio station while still in high school. Oprah continued building experience through college and, at only 19, broke racial and gender barriers by becoming the first black female news anchor at a Nashville television station. Despite this success, she struggled with the emotional distance required for traditional news reporting. Her frustration grew when she discovered her salary was significantly lower than her male co-anchors, underscoring the systemic inequality in the media industry. These early setbacks hinted at a mismatch between Oprah's authentic, emotive style and the rigid expectations of network news. Eventually, she transitioned to daytime television, where her natural conversational style flourished. Yet even as her star began to rise, beneath the surface, there were personal battles and uncertainties yet to unfold. That foundation of raw authenticity and a kind of stubborn refusal of convention laid the groundwork for this truly odd media presence. Oprah wasn't merely telling stories. She was somehow connecting with people in a very personal way. That emotional closeness, kind of private feeling, would end up being her signature and also her most powerful tool for pulling in a huge audience. Still, once you have that much influence, you also get this real balancing act, like empathy on one side and responsibility on the other. The scene was basically ready for Oprah to do more than become a media personality. She was set up to shape culture and even public opinion, whether she wanted that or not. But as her reach kept expanding, so did the messy parts that come with wielding that level of sway. The decisions she made and the voices she gave airtime to would soon trigger intense scrutiny, like people couldn't just accept it at face value. How she handled that pressure would end up deciding how her legacy gets remembered. Not everyone viewed her rise as some straight line of triumph. A pattern started to show up, where her warmth on screen somehow covered, or at least softened, a series of troubling choices that affected viewers in ways that went well beyond entertainment. The contrast between how she appeared publicly and what was going on behind the scenes suggested this layered figure Oprah was becoming, someone both celebrated and argued about. When Oprah moved from local newsrooms to national stages, her influence grew so fast it felt exponential. Yet the question kept hanging there. If nobody is holding her accountable, then what exactly happens to that unchecked power? Would it be used carefully, or bent in the wrong direction. The way those answers played out would basically write the next chapters in her remarkable but complicated story. Transitioning from personal beginnings to an unstoppable brand, Oprah's journey illuminates how a simple talk show became a global phenomenon that shaped millions of lives. From talk show to global brand. When Oprah accepted a demotion to co-host a daytime talk show in Baltimore, many might have seen it as a setback. Instead, it became the launching pad for her empire. Unlike the constraints of a newsroom, daytime television allowed Oprah's genuine conversational style to shine. Audiences were drawn to her warmth, honesty, and ability to address personal and emotional issues with empathy. Ratings steadily climbed as her connection with viewers deepened. In 1984, Oprah was hired to host a morning talk show in Chicago called AM Chicago, a program that had struggled for years. Within a month, she took the show from last place to first in the ratings. Oprah's success wasn't about sensationalism or confrontation like some other talk shows. It was about fostering real conversations many women could relate to. Her openness about struggles, including weight issues, made her even more accessible. Viewers saw in Oprah someone who understood their challenges and vulnerabilities. This authenticity helped Oprah carve out an untapped niche in daytime TV. Unlike hosts who focused on politics or sensational scandals, she built a brand around emotional honesty and self-improvement. Her show became a platform for personal growth, where guests and audiences exchanged stories, cried, and found solidarity. By the late 1980s, The Oprah Winfrey Show was consistently drawing millions of daily viewers. The show had become a cultural institution. Oprah's influence extended beyond just entertainment. Her book club could catapult unknown authors into bestsellers overnight. Products she endorsed sold out due to what became known as the Oprah effect. This power to shape markets and culture was unprecedented. For many, Oprah's recommendations were trusted as deeply as advice from close friends or family. In addition to audience trust, Oprah took important business steps that distinguished her from other talk show hosts. She founded Harpo Productions, giving her ownership and control over her content. This was a groundbreaking move, particularly for a woman of color in the 1980s media landscape. It allowed her to build not just a show, but a lasting business empire that generated enormous wealth. Throughout the 1990s, Oprah used her platform to tackle difficult topics like race, health, and social justice kind of stuff. There were episodes, like the one with the racism exercise featuring Jane Elliott, that made real national impacts, not in a small way either. Her willingness to jump into complex social matters kept tightening her relationship with viewers who wanted honesty and real depth during daytime television. But then, the line between influence and responsibility started getting kinda blurred, you know? The sheer size of her audience changed how recommendations and beliefs on her show acted, like they became heavy forces that helped shape public opinion. Still, since there was no clear accountability system in place, people began asking questions about the quality and accuracy of what she was promoting. Her empire kept expanding, and that made Oprah a one-of-a-kind public figure. Some treated her like a champion for the people, while others felt this growing gap between her escalating wealth and the everyday hardships of her audience. That tension didn't stay quiet for long. It would show up in ways that were more controversial, and it really tested her reputation and the reach of her influence. And as her media brand spread globally, the ripple effects from the ideas and people she highlighted also spread. The elevation of a single voice to such cultural prominence brought new scrutiny, one that would expose the pitfalls of unchecked power veiled as authenticity. Controversies and questionable endorsements. Oprah Winfrey became one of television's most trusted voices, giving her enormous power to influence what millions believed. But that influence also brought criticism when she promoted spiritual leaders, wellness personalities, and self-help gurus, whose claims were not always supported by reliable evidence. One controversial example was João Teixeira de Faria, better known as John of God. Oprah visited the Brazilian faith healer and featured his supposed healing practices before he was later convicted of indecently abusing multiple women. Although Oprah condemned him after the allegations emerged, Critics argued that her earlier coverage had helped legitimize him without enough skepticism. Oprah also promoted The Secret, a best-selling self-help phenomenon based on the law of attraction. It suggested that thoughts could directly shape a person's health, finances, and future. While many viewers found the message inspiring, critics warned that it could encourage victim blaming by implying that people were responsible for illness, poverty, or tragedy because of negative thinking. Health misinformation created even greater concern. Jenny McCarthy appeared on Oprah's platform while promoting the discredited claim that vaccines were linked to autism. Scientific research has repeatedly rejected that connection, yet McCarthy's television exposure helped spread fear and confusion among parents. Actress Suzanne Summers also received airtime to discuss alternative treatments, including hormone therapies that medical experts considered insufficiently tested. Critics argued that presenting these ideas beside conventional medical advice made questionable treatments appear more credible than they actually were. Oprah's influence also helped launch Dr. Oz and Dr. Phil McGraw into television stardom. Both became household names, but later faced criticism over unsupported health products, sensationalized advice, and the treatment of vulnerable guests. Their success demonstrated how easily entertainment, business, and professional guidance could become intertwined. Supporters argue that Oprah introduced important conversations about health, personal growth, trauma, and spirituality to mainstream audiences. Her intention was often to offer hope and make complex subjects easier to understand. However, good intentions do not eliminate the risks of promoting unverified claims. When trusted celebrities give questionable figures a national platform, viewers may accept their advice without consulting qualified professionals. This contradiction remains central to Oprah's legacy. She inspired millions to improve their lives. But some of the people and ideas she promoted also spread misinformation. Her story shows that extraordinary influence requires careful judgment, skepticism, and accountability. The delicate dance between celebrity influence and responsibility would later entangle Oprah in scandals and public backlash, challenging the very foundation of the trust she had spent decades building. Ties to celebrity scandals and withdrawals. Oprah Winfrey's relationships with influential figures in entertainment have sometimes sparked controversy, raising questions about the responsibilities that come with immense influence. One of the most notable involved Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein. Throughout the 1990s and 2000s, Oprah publicly praised Weinstein's impact on the film industry.
Now facing up to 29 years in prison, the verdict of victory for the Me Too movement.
6 accusers took the stand against Harvey Weinstein at his trial, and some 80 other women have made allegations of misconduct against him. Yesterday's verdict.
But after more than 80 women accused him of indecent misconduct in 2017, critics questioned whether powerful figures, including Oprah, had ignored warning signs. Oprah denied having prior knowledge of the allegations and publicly condemned Weinstein once the accusations became public. Another controversy emerged with the documentary On the Record, which focused on indecent misconduct allegations against music executive Russell Simmons. Oprah initially served as an executive producer, but withdrew shortly before its release, citing creative differences and concerns about inconsistencies in the reporting. Her departure also led Apple TV to step away from the project, delaying its planned distribution. People were quick to talk about it, and a lot of them thought Oprah kind of didn't stick to her guns, like she should have stood more solidly beside the women who came forward with their accounts. Others, kind of in the same breath, brought up things Gayle King said, her longtime friend, that Oprah was looking for more context around the accusations, and to the critics that just didn't feel right because it seemed to clash with Oprah's long history of championing survivors of mistreatment. Even if there wasn't any proof that Oprah knew about wrongdoing before everything became public, the whole situation still shook how people saw her as this moral authority. It showed how hard it is to manage all the moving parts, private bonds, professional judgment, and the expectations people put on you all at once. Then there were also critics who said that beyond these episodes, Oprah's business choices and the way she gives sometimes felt out of sync with the everyday money pressures a lot of her viewers deal with. When you add the controversies on top of that, it sparked wider arguments about whether she is truly genuine, how accountable she is, and what responsibility a famous person has when they can shape conversation and attention. In the end, these moments show you how complicated it really is to handle power inside entertainment. Oprah still counts as one of the most influential media voices of her era. But the way she handled these major controversies makes it clear that even the most admired figures are still stuck making tough calls. Her story, honestly, works like a reminder that influence doesn't just come with opportunities. It also comes with sharp scrutiny, especially when loyalty, ethics, and public trust start bumping into each other. The gravitational pull of celebrity influence extends beyond scandals and into the realm of wellness celebrities and television personalities who rose to prominence through Oprah's endorsements. Supporting TV doctors and self-help gurus. One of Oprah Winfrey's most influential and controversial legacies was helping launch television experts whose advice reached millions. Among the biggest names were Dr. Mehmet Oz and Dr. Phil McGraw, both of whom rose to fame through appearances on The Oprah Winfrey Show before building highly profitable media empires. Dr. Oz became Oprah's resident medical expert in 2004 and later hosted The Dr. Oz Show, produced by her company. Although he was a respected heart surgeon, his reputation later suffered after promoting products such as green coffee bean extract and raspberry ketones as weight loss solutions despite limited scientific evidence. These claims drew criticism from medical experts and even prompted congressional scrutiny, raising concerns about celebrity health advice. Dr. Phil's path was similar. After assisting Oprah during a legal case, he launched Dr. Phil in 2002 and became one of television's best-known self-help personalities. While many viewers appreciated his practical advice, critics accused the show of exploiting vulnerable guests for entertainment. Some youth treatment programs featured on the show were later linked to allegations of abusive practices. Adding to the controversy, Dr. Phil no longer held an active psychology license while continuing to present himself as a trusted mental health authority. Both men built fortunes through television, books, and endorsements, while Oprah's production company benefited from their success. This financial relationship led some critics to question whether commercial interests sometimes outweighed careful oversight of the advice being shared. Their popularity also reflected a broader cultural trend in which celebrity endorsements often carried as much influence as medical expertise. Millions of viewers turned to familiar television personalities for health and psychological guidance, sometimes placing greater trust in them than in healthcare professionals. Critics argue this contributed to the spread of misinformation, while supporters believe these shows encouraged important conversations about health and mental well-being and motivated many people to seek help. Ultimately, Oprah's support of Dr. Oz and Dr. Phil illustrates the complicated balance between influence, responsibility, and profit. By giving these personalities a national platform, she helped transform wellness and self-help into entertainment, creating opportunities to educate audiences, but also exposing the risks that arise when celebrity, commerce, and healthcare become closely intertwined. The scale and complexity of Oprah's influence make it clear that her legacy is more than a story of success. It's a layered tapestry woven with power, contradictions, and the ongoing challenge of wielding public trust responsibly. Wealth, land acquisition, and public backlash. Oprah Winfrey's incredible financial success has also brought increasing public scrutiny. Beyond her media empire, she owns an extensive real estate portfolio, including luxury estates in California and more than 1,000 acres of land on Maui. While these investments reflect her success, they have also drawn criticism from residents concerned about rising housing costs, limited land access, and the growing influence of wealthy landowners. Her lavish lifestyle has fueled similar debates, from her 70-acre Montecito estate to private jets and luxury fashion. Oprah's billionaire lifestyle contrasts sharply with the humble beginnings that first endeared her to millions. For some longtime supporters, that shift has made her seem less relatable. Her charitable efforts have also sparked mixed reactions. After the devastating 2023 Maui wildfires, Oprah and Dwayne Johnson pledged $10 million to kick off the People's Fund of Maui, while also urging the public to donate. Even though the fund gave direct financial help to many families, critics still asked why billionaires were basically requesting contributions from everyday folks during a period that already felt economically difficult for most people. Past controversies have added to that overall feeling. Oprah's well-known car giveaway wowed audiences, but a few recipients later dealt with unexpected taxes tied to the prizes, showing how even kindly gestures can lead to weird after-effects. And it's not just that. The timing and the setup can matter more than people think. Taken together, these debates show a complicated kind of balance between massive wealth and public expectations, which is a tough line to walk. Oprah is still one of the world's most influential media voices, but her rise has also fueled wider questions about responsibility, sincerity, and whether billionaires should be stepping in for social problems in the first place. In the end, her story seems to reflect more than just personal achievement. Oprah Winfrey's journey is a powerful story of triumph shadowed by controversy. From building an unparalleled media empire to facing the complex challenges of influence, questions about accountability have followed her success. As her legacy continues to unfold, it reminds us that great power always comes with great responsibility. If you found this story insightful, like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell for more revealing deep dives. Then, continue the journey by clicking the next story waiting for you on the screen.